Hi, welcome back to Breezin with Bierman. We're with, where's my notes? Our next guest, Jennifer Weiss, is a wife, mother, activist, but also on a quest. Adopted at birth, she found that her biological mother was a high-class prostitute who was killed by the beast of 42nd Street, Richard Cottingham, who was a known serial killer around late 1970s, early 1980s. During that more seedy period.
Yeah, it was really decadent.
Yeah, decadent. I should have been there.
That part of New York.
You know, was there. And he was, and stuff. Not only did she find her then biological grandfather, she made contact with Richard Cottingham, who's housed in Trenton State Prison, and formed a relationship. Now, spoiler alert, I thought she was going to do the first ever stand-up serial killer comedy, and doesn't seem to be happening.
It's
Jody?
not appropriate.
I was telling her she would have killed.
It's not appropriate.
Not
I got it. I was at your house. My wife was there too. It was a rollicking, tumultuous, interesting conversation about serial killers, sex, helping people, making money, not caring about people. I mean, you went all over the place, and now you're.
I never said I didn't care about people, and we.
No, you did, and then you didn't. You said 1 minute. You said I just want to make money. 5 minutes later,
That's
my
not
wife can
true.
testify. You said I care about people, and people got hurt. And then you're like, this is about forgiveness and redemption for Richard. Say something to her.
Vivian, does he
You're
do
wittier
this
than
to
I
you?
am.
You just won't stop talking.
Okay.
I don't have a
Does he
chance.
do this to you, Vivian?
He does this. He does worse.
Twist things around.
He does worse.
I'm not twisting
Okay.
anything around.
But we
You're
learned
blocking.
a trick from Jody. We say yes and then we just say something else.
Oh, the improvisational
Yes.
comedy trick he
That's
throws at
right.
you? That's nice.
Always. Yes, and.
Okay, so yes and.
Yes, and I'd love to hear your story. I mean, this is.
Yes, and
quite
I'd love
fascinating.
Vivian to ask the questions because
Okay.
Adam makes me so
Thank
nervous.
you so much. I am so delighted that you said that. So what I would love to hear from you first is how did you first find out the story about your biological mother?
I found out bits and pieces growing up. I was too young to know names and specific details. So when I was 4, it was pretty simple. You were adopted, and then as a girl grows up, she naturally may butt heads with her mother. And at some point during her teenage years, she might ask. I mean, I don't remember the specific times I asked, but I know I did mention it to her a few times during arguments, like, who's my mom? Tell me the real story. And she, in a fit of rage, said, your mother was a prostitute. And that was really her final word on it, because I pushed and pushed and pushed, and I needed to know the truth, and I was too young to know. So at 16, when she said that, it did shut me up, and I did put it away for a while. I put away the questions for a great while, for about 10 years, till I was 26. And then I went on a search, all the adoption agencies in New
Boys.
Jersey.
You invited a guest to your show and you're not even listening to her.
He's like the kid in school,
Okay.
Finally, the Children's Home Society of New Jersey in Trenton called me back, and I discovered many horrific things about her last weekend on the planet that stuck with me for a while.
Wow. So are you comfortable sharing some of those?
I would.
She was
not
at her
mind-
house.
I would not mind sharing them with you guys, but since it's a community TV show, I might have to PG-13 this appearance.
Have you been watching the show? Hey,
No, I haven't
newsflash.
been. Newsflash, I don't watch TV since 2006.
Oh, she's so
You
special.
said your kids would be watching this, so you can.
I told my kids I was going to be on TV tonight.
I don't think they should be watching this.
They're not going to see this live, but they might see the clips in the future. And that's why I'm keeping things PG-13.
So what's the PG-13 version?
Which is
The
like
PG-13
yesterday
version was,
That's true.
I discovered that my biological mother was beheaded December 2nd, 1979, by a man named Richard Cottingham. And she was with another woman who was also decapitated, and both women had their hands removed.
Wow.
And
And that's funny.
Adam
How-
thinks it's
He made a
funny.
joke.
It's not a killer joke, though.
No.
Whoa. You made the first joke.
Do you want to share?
What is
No,
the
it's
joke?
supposed
Is
to
it
be
funnier than
comedy.
any of my killer
No,
jokes?
no, it's your biological mother. We're not going to make jokes about that.
Cool, because Adam wanted me to do the stand-up routine, which isn't going to happen for a great while. I'm still trying to discover facts that are important.
Okay.
Are
I
you
do-
writing in the process of writing
I
jokes? and
do
stuff?
have jokes
This man is a professional actor. He can help
that
you.
are killer jokes that I can't wait to share with everyone. But
killer jokes.
until I get some of the really important questions answered, I can't really joke around about it yet on community TV. But I want to.
Have you done it live? In any
I
clubs
do it
or
live. I
anything?
did it live for Adam and his wife a little
Yeah.
bit.
But have you been in any clubs or anything
No,
yet?
no,
Are you concerned that some people would be really offended by that?
no.
I mean, I don't give a friggin', but
I'm
you know.
not concerned. After seeing Dave Chappelle joke around about
Right.
rape for a half
Right,
hour on
right.
his new,
Okay.
which I love Dave
Touche,
Chappelle,
right.
and
Oh,
I
he's great.
laughed as well. But
He's
rape
a
isn't funny.
genius.
It's not going to be
No.
normalized.
Yeah.
I refuse to let it be funny.
Right.
I mean, it sounds to me like there's two kind of parallel processes going on, and then the third one over there. Right? So there is the story,
I haven't killed anybody.
the serious that we know of, the serious story
You're killing
of
this segment.
you understanding what happened, like how you came to be here and your mother's life and death, right? And you uncovering that. There's that. Then there's your ambition and material for your ambition. That's another story. And then there is like the other sort of unrelated story of, you know, is it okay to make fun of serious things? And then there's Adam who like has to whisper. Do you want people to
No,
hear you
okay.
being funny, or do you want to whisper?
Do your thing, and then you do your professional work, and then can we have a little time for him to do his professional work?
We have plenty
What do
of
you want me to
time,
do?
right? But like,
We have 14 minutes. Okay. Yes,
I
ma'am.
think-
Yes,
I
ma'am.
think he has killer jokes that he's been really wanting to tell everyone.
I mean, I've
He was a
heard,
cut above all serial killers,
I-
Richard Cottingham. I know.
I've heard that
Did your mother
I'm
give?
pretty funny too. But the question is, are we going to whisper? Or are we going to talk?
Okay, I'll shut up. But Joe, I want Jody to give his input about doing stand up and how you're going to develop. You know, he's gone this.
It's just, we'll just go with the flow. We'll yes and this whole thing.
He said, "I'm killing this
Well,
segment."
I can't wait to talk to Jody about my routine that I in the future would love to create. But I'm so nervous about even talking about serial killers need hugs too, because it's so controversial and so unusual and weird and
yeah.
horrific.
That's
and-
why it has to be
Yeah,
done, though.
just-
And you're a pioneer, and you should. I think you should. You're brave, and I think fearless.
Thank you, Adam.
No, it's
I'm
true.
so
That's-
happy for those kind words.
I don't think she's being authentic. when
It's
she said
true.
that, but-
No, I appreciate it.
That's very brave, especially given your history. I mean, it's incredible.
Well, I didn't know what restorative justice was until I decided one day I was going to forgive Richard. Instead of carrying around the anger and the frustration, I was going to get rid of that. And it was something I was doing in my mind. I was, you know what? I'm going to forgive Richard. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find out what happened and I'm going to forgive him. And it just became a bigger, it was like the snowball effect.
But you said before you actually were afraid of Richard Cottingham. He was
For
in your
many
dream,
years.
right? You thought he might just get out of jail, even if you knew it wouldn't happen.
Right. The scissor,
Is that-
the
does
scissor
that happen a
knuckles.
lot
Did I
with
tell you about
people?
the scissor knuckles? I
You
think-
told me about it, yeah.
Yeah, those were good times when I stayed up all night thinking that Richard was going to come and get me, even though I knew he was incarcerated
Intellectually,
for
it's pretty
life.
hard for him to get out. Right? You knew that.
Correct, but I knew there was other Richards because I found out at an early age that there's Richards out there. You know, there's Richards out there, and that was always
bunch of
going
dicks.
through my mind.
Richard's a
Bunch
dick.
of dicks
Yeah,
out there,
Yeah.
See how funny?
ready to behead chicks.
So what is that? Is that normal for people?
What
do you-
makes a person do that?
Well, nobody really knows, but in order to be an actual serial killer, like to go all the way with it, you kind of need this trifecta of psychopathology, right? You need to have a paraphilia where you want to do it, where you fantasize about doing this terrible thing.
That's one for me.
Then you need to kind of have OCD because you need to want to repeat it and
It's
repeat
two.
it and repeat it. And then you need to be a psychopath.
That's
Adam.
questionable because sometimes you're seemingly normal.
Right? Because without having that
That's funny.
disregard for human life, complete disregard, and actually get pleasure from, you know, the sadism, the sadism and the paraphilia. Sadism is a paraphilia also. So you need to have that as part of your
And why do you
paraphilia.
enjoy see people suffer while you laugh at them and all that kind of?
Right. You need to have all of that together as your paraphilia. Then you need to have this repetition compulsion, and then you have to have the disregard for human life. If you don't have all three of them, it's not going to happen, right? If you're a psychopath, but you don't get that charge from doing the paraphilia. If your charge is from making a lot of money, you'll go be a psychopath on Wall Street. You're not going to kill anybody.
Right.
That's where most of them end up.
Huh.
Oh, right.
Right?
But you need that focus, that paraphilia.
But you need to have that
and to run over
all three
people.
of them.
And to run over
right? You need to have all three of them, or else you're not going to be a serial killer. Now, in this training that I took with the FBI, we learned that they estimate that there's usually about 35 serial killers active in the United States as
we speak,
or maybe in North America at any given time.
Believe it.
That's the magic number.
35 at a time. Yeah.
The 36th guy's going, come on, somebody go.
Yeah, somebody stop so I can step
let's
up
go,
and
let's
do
go
it.
here.
Yeah.
But okay, so you take this, you know Richard, you have a T-shirt made up, get your own serial killer. This is really funny. I mean, one reason, it is different, and that's why Jody, who's had experience, he worked in Hollywood. And the way
you had that experience as a serial killer.
Oh,
no, but you deal in
Experience
Hollywood.
I stumped on my
experience with
Cheerios.
psychopaths.
But psychopaths in a different way. You deal with, in Hollywood is a land of lies and sociopathic behavior.
Oh,
so.
yeah, totally.
So you can merge the two and help her with it.
Well, I never really thought of it as serial killers,
Well, they
But
kill you in
there's
different ways.
a different type of psychopath in Hollywood, definitely. It's I'm not a psychologist, so I don't know any of the terms, but all I know is you don't know who to trust. You don't know who's your friend, really.
So how
Backstabbing.
How can she start her stand-up career, though? What does one do?
I don't know many comedians. Are there any that ever talk about serial killers
not
in
that
their
I
bit
know
other
of.
than George?
George Carlin did
Carlin
a
that
thing
we
giving
did talk
tips to
about-
serial killers,
Oh, okay.
which was really funny.
And unfortunately, a lot of people don't have an attention span of 5 minutes. A lot of people don't even know. I bet young people today don't even know who he is, George Carlin. Much less. So
Well, that's a sad
find it
thing.
on
Any
YouTube.
comic should know who George Carlin was. Anyway, it's just like with acting. Any students that I have in my acting classes, whatever, they should know a little bit of history of what they do. Anyway, like a good serial killer would probably know the history of serial killers.
Right.
So,
Richard Cottingham did. He wanted to be the best ever, too.
I wanted to be like
I
Jack the
heard
Ripper.
that. I heard that from the interview he did with Nadia Fazani, that he
Right,
wanted
right.
to be the best at whatever he did. So I told him to be the best ex-serial killer for me.
The best reformed.
So what can you do, though? You talk to him all the time. Can you get material? Then, what she should
Yeah.
do. How does she hone it?
What is this? A
I'm
lesson
not
now?
actually worried about my killer jokes. He's really intrigued by them, and I can't wait to share them with you personally because I didn't realize that that's what you really wanted me to come here
Oh,
to
yeah,
do.
he was talking
I
about
told
it
you
all
to start-
day.
you
About the killer
sorry,
jokes?
sorry.
Wow, that's
Okay.
great.
Well,
I'm
Yeah,
glad
excited.
that I have
Everybody has their
such a
style,
big fan of my killer jokes. That's awesome. I hope you tell people about it
I
because
knew
it's
we'd more.
coming up.
This conversation is going all over the place. So bait and switch and everything. So what do you do? What do you do?
I'm not gonna. You use
You-
your own
look-
style. You start with come out with what's your opening line going to be. So my father's a serial killer. Anybody else out there? And whatever. You start introducing the whole
Well,
bit. And
it's
then
not funny, and those aren't the kind of jokes I tell because when you have that happening in your family,
But she wants to
fucking
stand up.
hilarious.
listen,
But I'll
It is
tell
hilarious.
you, I'll tell you something about this. In my opinion, I worked with sex offenders for 10 years, and the director of the place, his
fucking nervous.
father was a sex offender, registered sex offender in another state, and all this guy ever did was fight the fact that people knew about it. I mean, he would admit it, but he had no humor about it. In my opinion, having a sense of humor about terrible things is one of the best ways to cope with it, and also to be honest and open about
That
it.
sounds like a jerk off.
I get.
Sounds like what?
Sounds like a jerk off.
I've caught a lot of heat for
It was. I
for
mean,
making
but that guy, that guy was horrible.
Yeah.
He was horrible. He is, as far as I know, to this day, is horrible.
He's still running the place.
He's still running the place. I mean, he's got to be. He's probably going to be retiring in a couple
No
of
one
years.
is more horrible than the toy box killer. Please look it up at your own risk.
But in terms of somebody who's out in the
Toy
community
box killer.
running
Bad news
a
bears.
running a facility for sexually violent predators, who is the biological son of a sexually violent predator, and has no ability to say, hey, wait a minute, did I inherit any of this? Like, let me examine myself. Let me try to be kind to people. Let me try to figure out what impact this had on my life. And he's a psychologist.
Oh, Jesus.
No ability
You
whatsoever.
could use improv.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
You can
This
tell his
becomes
feelings.
a super toxic environment. Whereas if somebody in that position would say, hey, look at this, let's get a little humor about this. Let's get a little levity into the situation. Then suddenly you have somebody who has empathy, who has kindness, who has an ability
Humor is
to do something with it.
you could do so much with it. It's healing. It really is healing. Humor.
Well, I've been making him laugh, and it's been making him comfortable. And
You're making him laugh.
She goes to Trenton State Prison. He looks like Kris Kringle in a wheelchair.
Is he
That was
heavy? Like
funny.
he's fat?
He looks like Kris Kringle with his kind of like North
we're not
Jersey
going to make
accent.
fun of my serial killer on
No,
the show.
is he your father?
I don't know if he could be a DNA match to me because I don't
thought you were going to
know.
go. I have to take over this. We only have 5 minutes. So have you got the DNA match done yet?
I don't know what you're talking about.
This is like,
I don't have any DNA test in the works yet. It's
do
something
you
I
know
hope
that
to.
so many people were excited about this interview? I told lots of people.
I'm so excited
And I
too.
told them about what kind of person you were. and how
I'm
you lived
so
out-
thrilled about the killer jokes,
tell
and
me?
I'm thrilled to find out answers to questions I've had lifelong.
Years, yeah.
But
yeah.
there's so many important people that have their eyes on this project and me and Richard that I have to kind of be a little bit tight-lipped until.
Aha! Oh, so it's money.
No,
It's financial.
I just can't be making killer jokes until I get the answers that I'm looking for. I can't just joke around right now when I'm still on a quest to figure out the details of Dita Goudarzi's murder, where her skull
That was
is.
her name. That's your mother's name. From
Yeah,
Iran or Kuwait? They said Kuwait,
Iran. I have questions that I'd really love to get answered, and hoping to share everything with everyone.
Well, you're killing me right now because I thought it was going to be shared out.
Listen, you're gonna have to invite me back.
Invite you back.
Yeah,
We have standards on the show, believe it or not.
Vivian, help me.
I think I'm going to leave her alone with you.
What?
You can get it out of her
Not on television.
on your improv, using your improv. Your prowess.
What is your goal? Like when? I mean, that's your goal. But how? When do you think you'd probably be ready to actually do an act?
I'd probably be ready to do an act this time next year.
Okay.
Do we have any pictures? I thought you were going to be wearing the
I
T-shirt.
actually brought this for you. It's just a little thank you note for letting me come on the show with my ideas, which I know are hard to digest. No
you
one
ever-
wants to hug a serial killer. I don't even want to hug anyone else other than Richard. I don't know much about serial killers.
That's kind of funny. You only want to hug the serial killer.
Just Richard.
Of
Not-
all
not-
the serial
not all.
killers.
Oh.
Yeah, it was just my restorative justice project is called Serial Killers Need Hugs Too,
No,
because
this seems like a vanity
that's
project.
the approach I'm using.
Seems like
As
a damsel in
opposed, as
distress.
opposed to this show, which is an abandoned project.
Isn't that nice?
Princeton Community TV. Sorry, Adam, that I messed up your show and didn't do stand-up, but I promise next time. I
That's good improv.
I have to consider. Look at this family brother.
You know, I wasn't going to do the show this month, but you told me all about this, and I was all excited.
Thank you.
OMG, guys. You guys.
I'm just kidding. We're having
Maybe-
some fun with it, which
I
is
love
what
it.
it's
No,
all
I'm
about,
s-
right?
I'm so
I mean,
thrilled
you know,
about
if
this
you're doing
project.
comedy, I think it's ballsy. It's never been done before, as far as I know, and it's brave.
But the audience, this is like one long tease, though. If you want to be, if you want to do PR, you're doing a great job teasing.
I'm so sorry. I didn't come here to tease people. I would have
I
worn
want you to be
something
more
a
contrite.
lot.
Say, Adam.
more
how about
revealing.
if you could talk to Richard Cottingham, you can talk to me and say, Adam. Repeat after me, Adam.
Adam,
I'm so sorry
I'm so sorry
that I did not.
that I didn't
You know,
have
there's
any
so many
killer
interesting
jokes for
stories
you
right
guys.
here, and we're wasting time with this.
Okay,
nonsense.
okay. I'll shut up. We have one
No,
minute.
I love it. I look forward to coming back with my killer jokes.
That would be great.
I wanted to tell
Don't
people about
get ahead of yourself like your mom did.
This is. That was a good one, Adam. That was a good one. Richie's gonna love that.
Yeah,
We don't have to talk about Richard about me though. It's
that's what I was
okay.
going to say.
Oh, I'm gonna. Speaking of
She
you,
doesn't
why
start
are you?
talking.
Why are you almost naked in your Facebook profile picture? Why?
I am not naked in my
Well,
profile.
have you
It's just
seen
a-
it? It's
It
very.
was taken at the pool.
Oh,
Is that a
Vivian
pool? Yeah,
knows.
Yes.
How
I
do-
know everything there is to know about Adam.
Wow.
He only thinks he knows everything there is to know about me, and he is a big rumor monger. So be careful.
Only because I can bait you, especially when we do improv. That's another story.
Do you want me
That's
to
a
tell you
whole
about
different
songs
story.
for my serial killer part 1?
We have one more minute, but go ahead.
It's just a bunch of songs that I like to sing on my way to the prison
Oh, that would be
I
fun to
take
do.
out one word and I replace it with serial killer. Like be my baby, but I'll say serial killer instead. It's very challenging.
Good. What else?
I'm not
What
going to
else?
sing it. I'm just
Serial
letting you
killer.
know that that's.
My one and only
Hey,
serial
Yeah.
serial killer.
There. He's a maniac, maniac.
No, that's a different song.
Richard
That's Adam.
Cottingham.
He's a serial
Adam is
killer.
so all over the place.
Okay, I don't know what
We do that with
achieved here.
religious hymns too. That'd be kind of funny.
Yeah.
Now thank we all our serial killer.
How about this? We should get together. I think if we want, we could come to her house. We get together. We could all think up something if you'd want to. I know you're busy
so
trying to make a
eager. Look
living.
at him. He's
while
like
you wait.
inviting
No, I would
himself
love
to my
to.
home.
I
You know
I love
that
it.
at our next acting class, I'm sure that serial killers will be on the menu.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yes. And if not, heads are going to roll.
And with that note,
And no one's giving head any. I'm sorry. I don't know what I said. Okay.
He stole that.
I
by
don't
the
know.
way.
I stole that from him. Okay, I don't know what we accomplished here, but maybe we're gonna have part 2 coming up
Next
And
year.
Stay tuned for the next act.